Going live here. Get going live over here. I feel like every time I start this kind of stuff, it's like I'm doing it for the first time. I'll learn. I will learn. I will learn and get proficient with this someday. All right, so I just have to arrange my camera, and I'm still crooked over here. Thought I fixed it, but maybe I didn't. I wish I could zoom and that kind of stuff, but we'll take my fancy tripod and move it around. Hi, Lynn. Sandy, good morning, guys. All right, so we need to fix this over here so you don't look at my kitchen, my dirty kitchen. Yeah, at some point we'll be good to go. I'll have a fancy studio. This will be so pretty. The volume will be perfect. And until then, this is what we get. All right, so how are we map-wise? Oh, that's way too much sun. Hang on. Sun. Like we have sun today, you guys. If you're in Florida, you know what I'm talking about. It's been raining for how many days straight? How many? I wish I could. Hi, Darlene. You're swimming. I know, right? Ah! Okay. Hopefully that didn't make you sick. Trying to get you to look less at my ceiling over there, but okay, so it is what it is. And it's almost time to go. Say hello, Karma. So this morning, just as a little getting going, I'm going back to the gym for the first time, and I'm a little nervous, but I'm sure it'll be fine. But we're shortening those classes, and they want you to be off the floor. So what I've done this morning is I've sort of tried to plan something like that. So we're going to go an hour, so don't worry about that little piece of it. But we're mostly going to be standing. So we'll see how it ends up shaking out. Here we can do whatever we want. This is just sort of my test run. So you guys are a little bit like guinea pigs. Sorry. Hopefully you like guinea pigs. So yeah, a lot of standing poses, and but you can do whatever, right? You're at home. You can add or subtract anything. So but that's the plan, and we're gonna get rolling. Hopefully this 9:15 time slot works for you. If not, of course, it's always on video. You can always go to Any Day Yoga. There's more there as well if you sign up for a membership. And I'm going to get the dog off the mat, and then we're going to get started. Hey, Carla. Again, I need you to move, pumpkin. Thank you. All right. Bye. Go lay down, please. All right, so go ahead and start standing at the top of your mat. And when we do a lot of standing, we want to focus on the feet, right? So think about the four corners of your feet. And you stand all the time and never think about your feet. So really, see if you're balanced on your feet, right? And a lot of times if you look at your shoes, you'll find that the outer heels are more worn than the rest of your shoe, right? I know it's true for most of us. Some people are pronators, but most of us supinate a little bit. So that's the right word. Anyway, so really feel like you're even on your feet. And then press down into the mat and feel how that activates your legs. So you get a little extra kick just by aligning the body properly. Nice, right? So keep that little bit of a tuck of the tailbone. You don't want to flatten your lower back, but we don't want our butt sticking out, and we want to engage the belly. So with your pelvic floor, lower belly in and up, engage tall through your sides. Relax your shoulders and close your eyes. So just finding the strength of your standing pose here. Feel balanced, or maybe not so much some days, especially with your eyes closed. We did that a couple weeks ago. And then allow your awareness to move to your breath. For a moment, just notice what's going on. You don't have to do or change anything. And then let's turn that into a yoga breath. So breathing all through the nose. Begin to take your inhales a little deeper and your exhales a little bit more complete. And eventually make your way to that nice, full, just beyond comfortable breath. And then stay connected to this breath. That is the important part always. With the next inhale, we're going to take the arms and stretch them up to the ceiling. And then exhale and bring them back down again. Let's go again like that. One more time. And then back up to the top. Let's interlace our fingers here. Try to relax your shoulders and exhale as you tip yourself over to the right. Inhale, come on back to center. And then exhale over to the left. So you're going to flow side to side like that, connected to the breath. As you move, try to stay really steady and even into your feet. Engage through the core so you're supporting the back, even as you're opening the sides. So we're going to go one more time on each side and really get in there as deep as you can for now. When you're back to the center, just exhale and release the arms back to the sides. So we're going to take the arms out to the sides, right off the shoulders here. Belly's in, we're standing tall. Go ahead and take your left hand forward and your right hand back. And just rotate around into this twist. And this first twist, notice how the weight shifts in your feet. And maybe your left knee bends, right? Your right hip will drop back. And the arms go to a certain place, right? Come on back to center. Let's switch, taking it over to left. Same idea, just let the weight shift and all the things that want to happen, let that happen for now. And then let's come back to the center and release the arms for a second because they do tend to get a little. Relax your shoulders. And then reset your feet, right? So press into the four corners. Get really strong and stable into the legs. And then we want to keep the lower half of your body, half-ish, right? Exactly where it is. Right? So that's not going to change this time. Go ahead and take the arms out to the sides again here. As you take your left hand forward, don't let the weight shift. Don't let that knee bend, and don't let the hip drop. Right? So your arms are probably not in the same place, and that's totally okay. Take another nice big breath here. Feel how different that is, what's going on in your spine. And then release that back to center. Let's go second side. Same idea, keep the lower body where it is. The arms go where they go. So if it's not as deep, don't worry about that. And then back to the center again, releasing the arms back down to your sides. So let your shoulders roll a little bit. So letting the hands come to the thighs, and you can support as much as you need to support, or they just rest here. We're gonna come over into a half fold kind of place. Take your time on the way down. And just let your hamstrings start to stretch. Work to keep your spine neutral for now. And then go ahead and bend into your knees a bit. And again, if you're leaning on the thighs, certainly lean on the thighs. We're gonna change up the spine. So the legs are gonna stay doing what they're doing. We wanna pull the shoulder blades together on the back, maybe even hug your elbows in toward the body, stick your butt out back there. And then round through your spine. Tuck your tailbone under, pull your chest in tight so you spread the shoulder blades wide. And then move between those two positions. Shoulder blades pull together on the back, the bone sticks out. And then we round through the spine again. So connected to the breath, move in and out of that. Do that one more time in each direction. And then find a neutral place again. Take the legs straight. And then let's move into our hamstrings a little bit deeper by finding a deeper fold. If you have a deeper fold, if you're halfway and that's as good as it's gonna get, then leave it alone, totally fine. So the hands go where they need to go. If that means they need to stay up on the thighs, wherever. Pop up on blocks, maybe you touch the floor. And then just let those hamstrings gently release. Let your body wiggle around a little bit. Sometimes walking in place works. And then let the hands come back up to the thighs. Lift back into your half fold kind of place. Bend into the knees, sitting way back into chair this time. So a little different than where we were before. Still leaning on the thighs for support as much as you need to lean. Belly's in, tailbone's down. Again, you don't want to flatten your lower back, but you don't want your butt sticking out here. So hang on, maybe come center, extend the arms for chair. Breathe, feel those muscles work. Are you still nice and even in the four corners of the feet, or did you rock out to your heels or your toes? Watch the knees are hip distance apart. If your feet are, your knees should be, ideally. And then let's come back to that half fold again. Move back over into your full fold. So from the full fold here, go ahead and step back with the right foot. Nice big step back there. You can drop the back knee if you prefer, of course. We're just gonna roll around into the hips a little bit. And then let's find a center. Right? So think pulling the legs toward each other up underneath the body. Let the hips sink as long as you keep that alignment in the pelvis. Lengthen out the crown of your head here. And then let's take the left leg straight, or straight-ish. So remember, you can prop, you can drop the right knee. You can come up on the shin maybe. That's a little tricky for the balance, but do what you need to do, of course. And then bend back into the knee. So coming either into the full lunge or the knee down variation, either one is fine. Press through the back heel and extend out the crown of the head as long as the knee is up. Keeping the hips square, let's bring the left hand to the hip. Rotate the belly around toward the inner thigh here. Drawing the shoulder back, think stacking your shoulders, kind of. And then release your twist. Let's take that leg straight again. See if you can find a little bit deeper stretch. So if you had the knee on the floor before, maybe you can lift it this time. Maybe your fold is just a little deeper. If you want to get all fancy and stuff, you can flip your, or lift your left toes up off the floor, flexing that foot. And then bend back into the knee again. So you decide knee up or down. Sweep the legs toward each other, press through that back heel. Let's climb up on that thigh. And then lift the upper body as vertical as you can get it. Belly in, you can stay supporting or extend the arms. And then release that, come back over into the lunge. Step forward, come back to your standing fold. And then let yourself hang here for a little second. Notice the differences in the sides. What feels good, what's a little tight, what's a little more loose. And then we're gonna go our second side. So step the left foot back. And then again, begin by just wiggling around. Shift into your hips, wake them up. Finding that center. So find the middle, sweep the legs toward each other up underneath the body. Drop the left knee if that's where you need to be. Take the right leg straight. Find that nice hamstring stretch. So the hips are square, the spine is neutral. So if you're rounding over the leg just to touch the floor, maybe drop the back knee or prop up. Bend into the knee, come back into your lunge. Strong and steady through the legs, lower body stays doing what it's doing. Bring the right hand to the hip and let yourself rotate around. So the spine stays neutral here. The hips are in the same place they were when your upper body was in the middle. And then we're going to release that twist. Take the right leg straight again. See if you can find a little bit deeper stretch. So maybe you're just getting your fingertips to the floor. Maybe you're just lifting that left knee. If you want to get a little deeper, flex the foot. Bring your chin to your shins. And then bend back into the knee, come into lunge again. Sweeping the legs toward each other for stability. Climb up. Lifting the upper body. Press through the heel, lift the chest, and lift the arms if that's you. If you need them on the thigh, leave them there. You can look up unless that makes you really wobbly and unbalanced. Staying strong and steady through the legs. And then let's release it. Come back over into the lunge, and we're going to step forward into our fold. So now hopefully feel even again, whether that's a little tension from working the legs so hard, or you're just a little bit more flexible at this point. Sometimes a little of both. So grounding the four corners of the feet into the floor. If you need to bend your knees, certainly bend your knees. Take the index and middle fingers, we're going to wrap them around the big toes. And if you can take the legs straight, of course, take them straighter. Try not to lock the knee. From there, how about bending the elbows out to the sides? And that takes your fold a little bit deeper if you have a little bit more to give. You can even pull on the toes, draw your chest toward your shins. And then release that. How about bending the knees, of course, again, as much as you need, taking the backs of your hands flat to the floor. So all the way to the wrist, maybe. And again, the knees can be bent. No shame in that. So they come from the tops of your toes here. So the fingers pointing toward the toes. We're gonna lift up the right foot, slide the right hand up underneath that. And then the same thing with the left. If you're still working on just getting the back of the hand flat to the floor, that's the work then. If you can, wiggle your toes all the way to the wrist crease. And then wiggle your toes and give yourself a hand massage. Release the hands. And we're going to step the feet together. So as much as possible, bringing your feet all the way in. And then taking the hands up to the thighs again, bend into the knees, sit back into this variation of our supported chair. So hug the legs together, belly in, tailbone under, shoulders back, yeah? You can absolutely stay here. You can keep it simple. I think we did this a couple of weeks ago, maybe just by bringing the left hand to the outside of the knee and the right hand to the hip, rotating around into this nice, easy little twist. Or you can get fancier, taking that left elbow to the outside of the knee. And then the palms come to touch. You press against the outside of the knee, keeping the legs stable. So the twist is what it is. It doesn't have to be fancy or big. Take another big breath. Release that, come back to your fold. And then we'll switch sides. So hands to the thighs, bend into the knees, sit back. Get yourself stable and centered here. Take the amount of twist that's right for you. So just that right hand, left hand to the hip, or the right elbow to the outside of the knee. Using the knee as leverage, rotating around into wherever your twist is over here. Big full breaths. And then release the twist. Let's come back to the fold. Go ahead and open your feet back out into the hip bone distance again so that we're even, 4 corners of the feet. Let's slide the hands back up to the thighs, back to our half fold again. Belly in, shoulders back, and then hinge all the way up. Back to the top of the mat. So that was a lot of forward. Let's open the front of the body a little bit. Take the hands on either side of your lower back here. You can use fists or flat hands, whatever makes sense. Feet are even into the mat. Gentle little tug of the tailbone again so the bone's not sticking out back there. Hug your elbows toward each other. Hug the shoulder blades toward each other. And then imagine lifting your chest toward the ceiling. So you're creating space in the spine and you're opening up into a little back bend. You can, of course, get fancier. Changing where the arms are. Keep the chin in toward the throat so that the back of the neck isn't getting pinched either. Take some nice big breaths into the open chest. With an inhale, we're going to make our way back up to neutral. Release the hands. And then the hands rest on the thighs. Let's bring ourselves over into just a half fold. Take a second here. Lean as much as you need to lean. And then we'll hinge it back up again. From here, let's take a nice big step back with the right foot. Opening up into this straddle. And we're gonna start with the toes pointing out to the corners of it. Bend into the knees, make sure the knees are moving in the same direction as the toes. Sometimes they fall in, sometimes they're too wide, usually they're falling in. So watch that you can still see your toes outside of your knees. Four corners of the feet into the floor, feeling that? So take the legs straight down. Extend the arms open so that your body's like a big X. And then follow your breath here. Exhale, bend your elbows and knees. Inhale, lift back up. So up and down like that, super simple, but we make it overcomplicated and we want to let our shoulders drop forward, but try and keep the upper body doing exactly what it's doing. If it's boring, imagine you've got 20-pound weights in each hand and you have to pull them down and then you have to push them back up. Staying even in the feet. See if you can drop into the hips a little bit, maybe. Bringing the thighs more parallel to the floor. Let's take one more like that, and then we're gonna hold this next squat. So tailbone's tucked, you're still even in your feet. Can you still see your toes? Double check. You can keep the arms bent, you can extend them out to the sides, stretch through the middle finger. You can stay upright, or you can bring the upper body forward. Watch that the knees stay open, the shoulders stay back. If you need to support or bend the elbows again, you can certainly do that. You're breathing, right? Hinging back up again. Let's take it all the way up. Inhale, and then release the arms. So instead of having your toes turned out, bring them so that they point forward. Belly's in, hands on the hips. You can support on the thighs if that's where you feel like you need that. We're gonna come over into our half fold again. So parallel-ish to the floor. Shoulders are back, belly supporting the lower back, or the hands on the thighs for sure. Try not to sit your hips back. Try and keep them right over the ankles. It's a little bit more work for the hamstrings, that's okay. Bring yourself into whatever your full fold is. Shoulders back. Still on the four corners of the feet, or did you roll in or out? Keep the spine doing what it's doing. We're gonna bring the fingertips to the floor. Maybe. Just like before, if you have to bend your knees to make it happen, bend your knees. We're gonna take the index and middle fingers, wrap them around the big toes again, elbows out, holding on the toes if that's you. Releasing the toes, go ahead and take the fingers to the lower back. Interlace back there. Draw the shoulder blades toward each other on the back, and then stretch the hands away from the shoulders. You can lift them up off of your lower back or not, as long as the hands are moving away from the shoulders, so you feel your shoulders move away from your ears. Let's release the hands. Hold here a second. Notice if you're a little deeper than you were before. Breathe. And then we're going to take the hands up to the hips. Thighs if you need the support, of course. Belly's pulled in, working. Come halfway up. Hold in the middle. Feel your hamstrings squeeze. Feel your back muscles work, your belly, yeah? And then hinge all the way up. Nice. So from here, go ahead and turn your right toes in a little bit and your left foot toward the top of the mat. So we're going to bend into this left knee. Make sure you can see your big toe beyond your knee. So you may need to open or close your feet a little bit. Looking for just your big toe. Four corners of both feet even into the floor. And then the hips sink wherever they sink. Go ahead and extend the arms. Keeping your shoulders over your hips. And then let's go ahead and take the left leg straight. Stretch forward over your toes. Try and keep this right shoulder back and the right hip back as you reach forward. And then let the left hand fall, and the right hand's going to lift up toward the ceiling. It can, of course, come to your hip if that's too much. You can lean on the left leg. As long as you're not leaning on your knee, right? You can use a prop here. Make sure your belly's pulled in. And then let's bring the right hand to the hip if you hadn't already. Bend into your left knee again. Sink into your hips a little deeper here. Keep this right shoulder back. You can then bring it up and over the ears, stretching toward the top of your mat. You can look up if you want to look up. You can drop this left hand more toward the inside, maybe the outside of the left foot if that's you. Four corners of that right foot is still on the floor. Take the right hand back to the hip. We're going to take that left hand forward of the toes. You can use a block here for sure. Hop in with the right foot until you can take all the weight into your left foot and lift the right toes up off the floor. So maybe hip height, maybe not quite. We don't really want to go higher than that though. Keep the body aligned for the most part. Belly in. The hips are kind of stacking, the shoulders are kind of stacking here. And then let's bend back into the knees, step back. Lift the upper body and square up the feet again. It's fine. So let's go second side. Turn the left toes in a little, the right toes toward the back of your mat. Start by bending into the right knee. Look for your big toe. And your feet may need to be wider or more narrow on this side. It's just how the body is sometimes. Check for your big toe here. Let's extend the arms parallel to the floor-ish. Even that back arm, check it out. Where is it? Let's transition into triangle. So the right leg is straight. Stretch forward of your right toes as far as you can. And then let the right hand fall and the left hand lift. Lean on the leg if you have to lean. Try and keep this left shoulder back, left hip back. And then we'll bring the left hand to the hip. Go ahead and bend into your right knee. So this right arm can rest on the thigh. Descend into your hips. The right hand can reach down the inside of the shin, outside if that's where you are. Just keep sinking into your hips. Don't let the goal be to get your fingertips to the floor, because that might make your butt stick out. Tuck it under. Left arm up and over if that's you. And then bring that left hand back to the hip. Take the right hand forward of the toes. I'm not going to do this, otherwise I'm going to crash into the wall. But you're going to hop your left toes in so you can take all the weight in the right foot and lift the left foot up off the floor. So you do that. Those left toes might only be up off the floor a tiny bit. They might come up and down a million times until you find your balance. It's what it is, right? Take one more breath. Step way back. And then lift the upper body. Come back to your straddle. So now, like for a break here, hands back to the hips or on the thighs if you want the support. Come back over into your half fold and then slowly all the way down. And you can let the hands fall. Take a bend in your knees here if you like. Let your body rest, kind of. So from here, let's walk the hands over to the left foot. We're going to lunge. And step back into a down dog. So it is extraordinarily late in class to be getting into your first down dog, but nonetheless, let yourself wiggle and stretch. Think about your hands like we think about our feet. 4 corners, nice and even, body weight through the hands. And then allow your hips to shift back. Chest pressing toward the thighs. Head hanging between the arms. We'll shift forward, come to a plank. Hold. And then back to our down dog. So flowing with breath this time, inhale forward into your plank, drop knees if you need knees, and back into your down dog with the exhale. So forward and back, in and out of your plank, and back to your down dog. Right, remember to take variations, connect to your breath, move nice and slow. Your belly's pulled in, supporting your lower back. You're breathing, right? Are you still breathing those big yoga breaths, or are they getting a little bit short or out of control? One more time, in and out like that. When you're back to your down dog, go ahead and drop your knees if they're not already, and sit back into a child's pose. And you can definitely let your hands move back by your heels. Take the arms, stretch them out long again. Make your way back to down dog. So we're going to add on to those planks. And if that was challenging on the knees, forward and back, that's where you stay. If you want to just be off the knees, forward and back, totally fine as well. Take a quick run into your plank though. So slide forward, make sure your shoulders are up over your wrists here. You're not forward of that. Sometimes if your feet are a little close to your hands, that happens. Lift your hips back to your down dog. Stay that wide. And lift your right leg. We want to keep the hips square, so it doesn't matter how high that foot is. Slide forward, come to your 3-legged plank, and then back into your 3-legged dog. So in and out with your breath like that, forward and back. And even with the right foot up off the floor, if you feel like when you come forward, you need your left knee on the mat, take it down. Let's go once more, forward and back. When you're back in your 3-legged dog, release the right foot and go ahead and drop the knees. Set back in your child's pose. So if we did one side, we have to do the other, right? So come back to down dog. 4 corners of the hands into the mat, the belly's pulled in. Our feet and the hands are far enough apart. Take that little practice plank if that's where you need to make sure. Lift your hips back. And when you're ready, lift the left leg. Remember, take the variation that's right for you. Make sure your hips stay square and your belly is pulled in to support your back as you come forward and back. Move with your breath. Let's go once more. And then back to down dog. Release the left foot. Drop on down to the knees. Let's rest. Walking the hands back toward the knees, let's kind of sit up on the heels. Hot, sweaty mess right now. Hopefully you are too. So coming to sit up on the heels, we're not going to be doing anything fancy. So if you need to be on your bottom instead of here, or you want to sit up on a block, I think we've shown that variation before, but anything to lift the hips a little higher than they might normally be, that makes it a little bit easier. We're going to stretch our shoulders to begin. So again, this is not super important just now. So go ahead and take your right arm out and then take the hand between the shoulder blades back there, kind of, right? Maybe at the base of your neck-ish. We want this right elbow to point up toward the ceiling, so you can actually use your left hand to help that elbow point more up. And then the left hand is going to come behind the back. Sneak up the spine and reach for the right hand. So maybe they are nowhere near each other. You can always use a strap or a towel or a tie or whatever you've got if you really, really, really want to use your prop to help draw your hands closer together. You can just keep reaching in those directions. You don't have to get fancy. Sitting up tall, make sure you're breathing. And then we're going to release the arms. Roll out your shoulders a little bit here. And then switch. So take the left arm out. Bring that hand between the shoulder blades. Help the elbow point as much toward the ceiling as you can. And when the elbow points more up, the fingertips reach further down, right? So maybe the right hand can reach behind the back, climb up the spine, and the closer your left fingertips are to the floor, your hips, or however your brain sees this, maybe the easier it is for your right hand to find your left hand. And if you don't find it, you don't find it. Relax the shoulders, head in line with the spine. Breathe. And then release the arms. Roll the shoulders around again. And so then here we are going to be up on the tops of the knees. So if you did move to your butt, come on back up to your knees. If you need some extra cushion for your knees, because we're going to be on them, you may want to double up your mat or use a towel or a pillow or whatever you've got. Come with the tops. So your feet can stay flat to the floor back there. Depending on where your arms are, it may or may not even matter. Okay? You can tuck your toes up underneath, keeping the heels pointing up at the ceiling. So the idea is to open up at the front of the body. If you want to reach for your heels, if all you're doing is leaning back and finding your heels, you're missing it. Right? So you may or may not even care about your feet, depending on where your arms are anyway. Important part is to keep the tailbone tucked again, nice long lower back, hips over the knees, so not leaning back to find the heels. Taking the fingers maybe to interlace behind your back, you can support your lower back with your hands. You can be reaching for your heels. You can take the arms out or up even, right? So the arms add in to the experience of the spine. So the tailbone's tucked. We're doing just what we were doing earlier, pulling the shoulder blades together on the back and lifting the chest up toward the ceiling. So just like we did when we were standing, only you're on your knees here. So if it's exciting, you can absolutely reach back for your heels. Maybe you find them, maybe you don't. Don't worry about that. Lower back is long, the back of the neck is long, you're breathing. Change your arms if you feel like you need to change your arms as we move back up to neutral. Release the arms from wherever you have them. And then go ahead and step back on your heels again for just a second here. Your spine wants this, even if your legs are complaining. So then move your roll out of the way here. Fix your mat if you folded up your mat. And take one last stone tall. Drop all down to the knees. And then let's bring the legs around front. All right, so the legs are extended out nice and long. Take inner thigh rotation, of course. Belly in, sitting up nice and tall. Let's reach the arms up. And take yourself over into fold. Hinging from the hip. When you can't hinge from the hip any further, you let the hands fall. And maybe you touch your toes, and maybe you don't. Keeping the shoulders back, spine neutral is more important than whether you touch your toes or not. Nice big breaths here. See if you can find that place between effort and ease that we're really going for in all of our poses. You want to work, but you don't want to work too hard that you hurt yourself or you go deeper than your body was intended to. One more nice big breath. With the inhale, make your way back up. And then release the arms. So let's take the feet flat to the floor. We're going to work with boat here a little bit. So hang on to the backs of the thighs. Take your arms almost straight. Lift your chest. So the spine stays really neutral here. If you round, you fall back. It's just inevitable, pretty much, right? So keeping the chest lifted, you can already feel the work. Right? Maybe you just lift your toes a little bit. Maybe you bring your shins parallel to the floor. Maybe you take your legs straight. So if the legs are straight, the toes are high. If the legs are straight and low, that's the back. And we want to use the belly instead. So hang on. Let your arms help you if that's where you need to be. Otherwise, you can let go. Work to where you're shaking, but you can still breathe. Lift your chest. Wherever you are, bring the soles of your feet together. Hang on to your ankles. Let your knees fall open. Keep lifting your chest. And then without taking your feet to the floor, if you can, take your index and middle fingers, wrap them around your big toes. How about taking the right leg straight, or straight-ish? Doesn't have to be completely straight. Come on back to center, and then switch. Bring it back to the middle. How about taking them both straight? Take your time. They, again, don't have to be straight. Keep your chest lifting. And then whether your legs are straight or bent, bring your feet together. Make sure your belly's working, because if this is all you hanging onto your toes, it ends up amusing. Release your toes. Hang on to your hamstrings, bend your knees. This time go ahead and tuck your chin, roll on back, but like you mean it. So all the way down. Knees into the chest, let yourself rock a little here. Let that lower belly relax. We'll take the feet flat to the floor. Let the soles of the feet come together. Let your knees rest out to the sides. Really release the lower belly here, the inner hip. You might feel this in your back a bit. Let it go. We'll draw the knees back in. Crossing the left foot over the right knee. Reach back behind the right thigh here and release your fingers. Draw the right leg in toward your chest. You can press the left leg away a little bit if you like that. Keeping the shoulders back. Keeping the hips as even and neutral on the floor as you can. And then keep the arms pulling toward the body, but now use the leg to kick back into the hands. So you got a push and pull going on here. And then we'll release it, taking the right foot flat to the floor. Keep the legs crossed. Let the arms open out into a T position and drop the legs over to the right. Maybe your left foot is flat to the floor with your knee pointing out toward the ceiling. If you'd like, let that knee fall toward the floor. So you decide, you get a little bit more twist in the side, you get a little bit more opening in the hip. Up to you. Rest your shoulders, you can look over your left hand. Breathe. Listen to the rain. Taking in a nice big breath. And then bringing it up to center. We'll uncross the legs. Find center again. And we'll hook it there. Take the right ankle, crossing it over the left, and then reach behind the left thigh. Interlacing the fingers, pressing the right leg away a bit, pulling the left leg in toward the body. And again, work to keep the spine nice and neutral. If you're really rounding up through your spine here, see if you can relax your back side more. And maybe the leg doesn't come in as much, it's okay. Keep pulling in, and then press the leg back into the hands, so push and pull. Let's release the left foot to the mat. Keeping the legs crossed, open the arms. Drop the legs over to the left. So again, you decide whether your right knee points toward the ceiling or falls toward the floor. Different sensation. Find it where you need it to be. take another nice big breath. And then we'll come back to center. Uncross the legs. One more time, drawing the knees into the chest and just rocking a little bit here. Squeezing the knees in as tight as you can get to your chest. Wrap your arms around your shins, maybe you can grab opposite elbow even. Hug your nose toward your knees. And then release to a full body stretch. Get really long. Use every muscle. And then release that. Let your arms come back down by your sides and take a second so that your body feels aligned and comfortable into the mat. So if you need to prop, definitely prop. If you want your feet flat to the floor, take them flat to the floor or prop behind your knees maybe. If you want a seated meditation, you have the wall. You can sit up against a wall. Up on a pillow, cushion. Take your body to where it's going to be perfectly comfortable. And then once you find that position, let it go. No more wiggling, fussing around there. Release the muscles. Letting your awareness come solely to your breath. And then releasing control of your breath. And most challenging, probably, is to release control of your thoughts. So if a random thought wanders in, let it wander right back out. Keeping the mind present, quiet, and relaxed. Begin to gently deepen the breath. Allow your body to begin to wiggle, move, and stretch. When you're ready, bring the feet flat to the mat. Gently rolling yourself to the side. Slowly making your way back up to seating. Let's bring palms to touch. Coming your head to your heart. From my heart to each of yours. Namaste. Thanks for practicing with me this morning, you guys, or later, or whenever you get the chance to do this. Hopefully, and maybe I'll see you in the not too distant future. If not, we'll see you here. Remember, if you have thoughts or suggestions or whatever, be sure to reach out to me. If you're not already on my email list, please let me know and I will get you on there, just so you're updated on when all this crazy stuff is happening and when things change. So it was great to see you. Thanks for practicing with me, and have a great weekend, and maybe we'll see this sun sometime. Thanks, guys. Bye. All right. Learn and get proficient with this.